Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday session, guided practice with me, Rachel Lovegrove, and this is for current practitioners of yoga. Hi, everyone. Thanks for turning up this morning. Joe, I've got my candle that you brought me from the Algarve lit today. Just thought I'd mention that. Now, I've got a bit of a camera issue, so the angle might not be quite right, but we've had a slight accident this morning. Not this morning, a few days ago. And the camera that I use on my Mac is out of action at the moment. So if you can't see my feet, don't panic. All the poses hopefully will be familiar to you anyway. And Suki's made her appearance, of course. So without further ado, we'll start with the invocation. If you know the invocation and want to chant there, wherever you are, then join with me. So sit straight and lift up through the sides of your chest. Bring your palms together in front of the chest and close the eyes. And draw your senses inwards. Release across the tops of your shoulders. And feel that strong lift of the body so that your mind is poised, ready for the practice. Yogena citasya padena vacham malam sharirasya javaidhyakena yopa karotam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abahu purushakaram Shanga Chakra Siddharinam Sahasra Shirasam Setam Pranamami Patanjalim Hari Om. And as we bow the head down, paying our respects to Patanjali and Guruji, and all the line teachers that have come before us to pass on the practice that we share together today. And then release your hands and raise your head and open your eyes. Did I have a little visit there when I was doing the chant? I felt something furry. Okay, so we're going to start. You have your sheets, and just to confirm to anyone watching for the first time, this is not a beginner's practice. This is not a structured class, as in I'm not teaching or very little teaching. It's a guided practice. So if you're a beginner, it's better not to do this. Go and find a teacher or find a beginner's class. And the practice that we have today, it's over there. We will be doing some inversions. But I'll show you the alternatives if you're not inverting today. Okay, so let's start with Tadasana, Headstand, and we're taking some sideways extensions. So I'll describe that as we go along. Those that were with me in class this week will have already seen these ones, so hopefully you know what's coming. So we'll start. So Tadasana first. And then we'll bring the arms out and turn the palms for Headstand. And then arms down. This time in Headstand, bring the arms forwards, but interlock the thumbs. And then we're going to extend to the right. Come up to the left. Come up. Change the hook of the thumb, so bring the other thumb over the front. And to the right. And mirroring the camera, so going to your right. Up and to the left. And up and arms down. Okay, so we've got Adho Mukha Svanasana now, downward facing dog. So I'm going to take my heels to the wall for this. And I'll put the timer on. So I'm going to take us through about a minute and a half. Let's see, let's put it on for a minute and a half. And don't forget, if the timing is too long for you and you need to come down, listen to your own body. Don't push yourself too hard. But then again, check that you're not being too lazy to So I'm just using the wall to lift the heels up on the skirting, to lift the back thighs, get more height in my hips today. You might prefer to do it with the heels on the floor, or the hands to the wall. Or the head on a bolster. Or if you're lucky enough to have ropes, you could do rope dog. We have been talking about the solar plexus this week in class. So those of you that were with me, bring your awareness back to that area. And sometimes my timer doesn't go off. So I think that was definitely 1 minute 40 seconds. Sometimes it doesn't ping. It has actually stopped. So come up from there. I think we've got Ardha. Yes, we've got Ardha Uttanasana. Ardha means half. Uttanasana is this one. So the half one is the L-shaped pose. Let's see if I can make this time work now. Otherwise I'll have to count in my head. So we'll take a minute in this pose. And again, if you need to come out before that because of shoulder problems or what have you, then do. There we are. So Ardha Uttanasana. And you can either have the legs slightly apart for this or have the feet together, but make sure that if the legs are apart, the toes are turned slightly inwards. And check that your legs are under your pelvis and that you're not pushing your lumbar down. Again, focus on that solar plexus area. There we go, it's working again now. You can come up from there. And Virasana 3 in that same position. So that's with one leg raised up. So let's take a minute for each leg. See if you can maintain that. So now you have to have your feet together. So again, checking that my legs are vertical. Oops. And you could have your foot on a chair at your hip height as well. And your foot against the wall. Or even your hands on a chair if you didn't have a suitable wall. There you go, and then changing legs. And sometimes we put the fingertips on the wall, sometimes the palms. Today I'm using the palms. And then down, walk forwards and come up. So building up to Ekapada in dog pose, and then Adho Mukha Vrikshasana. So Ekapada is one leg. So this is the alternative. So I'm coming back to that dog pose at the wall again. You don't have to have your feet on the wall for this. And I'm bringing my feet together. And then Ekapada is with one leg up, like so. So you can either do that, or if you want to do Adho Mukha Vrikshasana, half Adho Mukha Vrikshasana, you go a little bit closer, then you bring your feet up there, and then you're in Adho Mukha Vrikshasana. Okay, so I'm going to set the timer for 1 minute. So if you're, actually I'll tell you what I'll do, because some of you will be doing the Ekapada, I'll set it for 30 seconds. And then if you're doing one leg, you can change legs. And those that are in the hand balance, half hand balance, can choose to stay or come down and go up again. Okay, but I'll put the clock there just in case it doesn't work. Okay. You can change legs, you can come down, go up again, or come down and rest. And then all of you come down. And just be in Uttanasana for a moment there. Fold your elbows. So let any tension release from your shoulders and your neck. But keep your legs active. And then you can lift your head, push forwards and come up and stand up. So I think we've got, yes, we're into Parivrtta Trikonasana now, revolved triangle pose. So we can do this for just under a minute today, as it's a slightly stronger standing pose. So I'm going to put the timer on for 45 seconds each side. And you might need bricks for your hands. So I'm going to put my bricks here. Now it will mean that I'm turning away from you. But you'll be doing your twist anyway. So hopefully you won't need to see anything much. Okay, so we'll be starting in Tadasana and jumping or stepping the legs wide for Parivrtta Trikonasana. Okay, so we'll put the timer just in front. And you turn to your right first. And then change sides. And come up. Tadasana. Just stay in Tadasana for a moment till the timer goes. And when we're looking at these screens at the moment, the eyes tend to project forwards quite hard. So when you do your Tadasana, just allow the eyes to go towards the back of the eye sockets and soften around the eyes. Okay, So we're going to do Parvatasana. And I normally come from Virasana 2. And you can either have the back heel up or down. So again, just a short interval in this pose, 45 seconds each side, on Tadasana. If you have a wall, it's quite handy because you can bring the top arm over to the wall. And you come up, other side. And come up and jump back, Tadasana. Okay. It's a very exhilarating pose. And lots of different ways to do it. We did it with chairs this week, but I didn't want to complicate this morning by getting the chairs out. Okay, so Shishasana, head balance, or Prasarita Parvatasana. So remember that Prasarita is the wide leg pose, standing pose, hands down, and then bring your head down to the floor or to a lift. Okay, otherwise Shishasana, and I'm going to take a short one, three minutes today. This is just my prop that I need for my shoulders. So take whatever support you normally have. And above all, make sure you're safe in your home. You're not risking injury. Okay, 3 minutes. Unless you're already up. Otherwise, just get ready and then we'll go up together. And don't forget, if you're needing to come down safely. Keep your shoulders well lifted as you come down. Don't just collapse. And you can rest in Adho Mukha Virasana. And same if you're in Prasarita and you need to come up, just kneel down and stretch the trunk forwards, buttocks on the heels, Adho Mukha Virasana. And there's the gong, so come down, straight legs if you can. And then everybody, Adho Mukha Virasana. Sometimes if the neck is a little stiff, you can extend the chin forwards on a blanket or on a brick, like that, just for a few moments. And then rest the forehead. Okay, I can come up. So we're coming to the backbending part of the class, and the idea about the parvatasana was to get that thoracic spine moving to prepare us for our backward extensions, and the Adho Mukha Virasana hand balance to strengthen the arms for the weight bearing one that we're going to do. So we're going to go back to Adho Mukha Svanasana and Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, and I'm sorry if I'm deviating a bit from any instructions that I sent out, but I've written out my list because my printer's broken as well. Having one of those mechanical breakdown weeks this week. So we're going to do Adho Mukha Svanasana and then Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. So the first Adho Mukha Svanasana will move into Urdhva Mukha, and then we'll repeat Urdhva Mukha from the floor. Okay, so just follow along with me. And you can also use the chair. I'll just quickly show some of you who are a little bit worried about these poses. If you have a sturdy chair at the wall, emphasizing sturdy, you can do your dog pose here. This is your Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And then when we come forwards into Urdhva Mukha, you can use the chair. But make sure the hands are right on the edge. You turn the hands out and bringing the chest through. And then you can come back like that when we repeat. That's for those that need to use the chair today, just as a reminder. Otherwise, we'll do it from the floor. So come down onto all fours. And the first pose we'll do is Adho Mukha Svanasana. I'm not going to time these, okay? You won't hear a gong, but I will say when to change into Urdhva Mukha. So Adho Mukha prepares the legs, also prepares the mind for Urdhva Mukha when we come in this way. And some people find this an easier way to access Urdhva Mukha because they're already up in the pose. They're not coming up from the floor, which can be difficult for some people. So we're going to come now into Urdhva Mukha with the toes tucked. And then lift up into Adho Mukha. And just repeat that once more. Urdhva Mukha. Adho Mukha. And then come to the floor. Adho Mukha Virasana briefly. And then come up. So we'll take Adho Mukha from the floor. So those of you that need to use something for the hands can use bricks. And if you're on the chair, you can just repeat. So the bricks would be beside the chest if you're using bricks. Maybe do one with bricks, one without. And you can choose either the toes tuck this time, or can you stay on the tops of the feet, but not the whole foot, just the tips of the toes. Okay, so then you'd come up from here straight into Adho Mukha. And then down. And then maybe try one without the bricks, and you can assess whether you prefer with or without, or whether you're able to manage without. Certainly feels a little further from the floor. And down. You fold your elbows, rest your forehead on your forearms, let your toes turn in towards each other. And then you can come up from there. Okay, so what have I got next on the list? So we've got Virasana next as a way of preparing the thighs for Ustrasana. So let's sit in Virasana. And if you need support, take support. And we're going to have a fairly long hold in Virasana. So make sure that you're not sitting too low straight away. You can always take something out. I'm aware that you can't see your knees, actually. I'm going to go back a little bit. And if you can't tolerate this because of knee problems, you can sit in a chair, you can sit in a different seated pose, you can sit in Tadasana. And we're going to take parvatasana in a moment, so let me just organise that. But first let's just sit, and then when the timer, when the gong sounds, we'll take the arms forwards into parvatasana. Just sit in Virasana. And sit up. Don't just sit and slump. Think about the shoulder blade area. Pressing the shoulder blades forwards towards the front chest without pushing the ribs forward. So there's that solar plexus area again, trying to keep that sober. We're doing a lot of work on that this week. Kind of not gripping it, but positioning so that we're not pushing the bottom ribs forwards and lifting up. And then bring the arms forwards, interlock the fingers, thumbs touching, parvatasana. Turn the palms away, lift the arms up. An alternative preparation might also be Dhanurasana, Virasana with minimal support, of course. We've had a Viparita Dandasana on the chair. And then change the interlock. Turn the palms, move from those shoulder blades again. And come down. And release the legs forward a moment in Dandasana. Don't push your knees down. A little tip, just press the heel bones down. Keep the knees quite soft and let them stretch out in their own time. If you suddenly push the knees down, you can aggravate the knee joint after being bent back so long. Now we're going to take Ustrasana next. So I'm going to take what I need for that. I will show you, I'll remind you of the bolster support for the thighs, for the heels, sorry. So if you are in need of something, some padding for the shins, make sure it's from the knee to the foot, or you can have the toes dangling off the edge, but don't just have the knees supported, because you need to feel that full length of the shin bone pressing down. And then if you think you won't reach the heels, or even if you feel like a bit of comfort, have the bolster there, and then you can go back to the bolster first and then to the heels. I'm actually going to take the bolster away. I won't, again, time this because we're not holding it very long, but we will repeat 3 times Ustrasana. And if you wanted to, you could do the first one just with the hands on the backs of the thighs, the second one with the hands on the bolster, the third one reaching for the heels. And then come up, sit down either on your bolster or your heels. Take a couple of breaths. When you come up again, those shin bones, press them down. And if you took one hand back, take the other hand back first, and then maybe the third time you can take both hands back evenly. And then third one. It's a beautiful pose. I'm not saying my pose is particularly beautiful, but it is a beautiful pose to do. And then come out. Always makes me happy, that pose. It does something. So, Virasana. Now, when I do twists after back bends, I tend to do them quite softly, rather than sort of yanking the body around and trying to get somewhere. Because actually, we've already mobilized the spine through the back bend, so there shouldn't really be any need to release the back with twists. But it's nice to do them as a counter pose before we do chair Shavasana. And I put chair Shavasana on there, so I will just show my setup. But if you're not used to doing inversions like that with a support, you could do ordinary shoulder stand, or the Viparita Karani pose where you lie with your legs up the wall, your buttocks on the bolster. So Virasana is next. You can also do this in the chair, because I know some of you have knee problems and you can't kneel down. So you would take your chair support, making sure that you're, oops, just got to adjust something. Making sure that your thighs are parallel to the floor. Okay, so if you're taller, you might need to sit on something. If you're shorter, you might need to put your feet on something, and then you can turn to the back of the chair. So you can still do a twist even if you're not on the floor. But we'll do Virasana 1 and then Virasana 2. So you might need a belt as well. And we'll take a minute each side in this, so I can find out where I put my timer. Yes. She's very restless today. It must be the wind. Windy day here in the UK. Okay, so I'm going to turn to your right. So I'm mirroring you. So feet to the left if you're turning to the right. Virasana 1. And then change to the other side. And then come out and stretch the legs forward. So Virasana 2 is with one leg in Virasana, one leg in Padmasana. So you might want to repeat the last one instead of doing Virasana 2. Yes, so your left leg will be coming back into Virasana if you're doing Virasana 2. And you might need a belt. I know I do on this side for sure, and probably on the other side today as well. So you've got one foot in Padmasana, one leg in Padmasana, one leg in Virasana, and then you bring one arm around and catch in the loop. So it's a lovely twist. But those of you with the knee and hip problems that can't do Padmasana, just repeat parvatasana 1. Or repeat on the chair. And if you're watching this and you're not practicing, you're curious about yoga, go and find yourself a good teacher. Start the practice. So you can see the difference in my two sides. One knee is very happy on the floor, very happy in Padmasana. The other leg, the left leg, has to have a bit more care, a bit more tension. So all of us have our imbalances, our situations that we deal with every day. But the beauty of Iyengar Yoga and the genius of BKS Iyengar Yoga, the genius of BKS Iyengar is that he enabled us, everybody, through the use of props, different methods, innovative ideas, creative thinking, to be able to do all the practices, no matter what our ability or age or illness. It's such a wonderful legacy to have been handed down to the generations. Okay, so stretching your legs forward. So we're going to come to the final inversion now, and that's chair shoulder stand. And as I said, if you just want to do normal shoulder stand, that's fine. I'm going to set up the chair shoulder stand now. I'll just remind you though of Viparita Karani. You might see when I put the props there, that might remind you, the setup is a bolster at the wall, brick behind, and then you lie with your legs up the wall, okay? Otherwise, I'm going to set up for chair shoulder stand. You can have your feet at the wall for this, but you don't have to, because we'll have the legs up more like a Viparita Karani style position. And just a tip for those of you that have started practicing this but keep sliding off, don't put your blanket like that, because that makes a nice little slide. Put your blanket on top like that, nice and neat, and then you're not going to slide off. Well, not so easily anyway. Okay. So we will slide down from this into onto the bolster in the end and rest the legs on the chair, and that will be your savasana. But if you want to come completely out and then move away and lie flat, we can do that. But I shall be lying here at the end, so I'm going to put a blanket ready to slide back onto. Okay, so we'll take 5 minutes in this. a shorter one than we did last week. So we'll start with the legs over the back of the chair or against the wall, about half a minute, and then we'll take the legs up into more like a Viparita Karani angle. I'm taking my legs up now. And don't forget, while you're there, it's quite easy to really disappear in this pose, but just for a moment, remind yourself of the Ustrasana action, the shoulder blades in all the back bends, and here also not to collapse the shoulder blades in the chest area, but to feel that opening action in the back of your chest. You may even feel that you have more access to that today because you've done back bends, or it just feels lighter, more lighter than usual. you can come down, slide down onto that bolster. If you're in Viparita Karani or a different pose, you can find your position for Shavasana. So we'll just rest for a few minutes here, all of us together. So if you're tuning into this right now, this is going to be the boring, even more boring bit, because I'll just be lying here. But as you settle into your chair, Viparita Karani, or full Shavasana if you want to lie flat, understand that the translation of the word Shavasana, meaning corpse, really means surrender of the physical body. So you let go completely, and the corpse body doesn't move. In order to let go, it just yields. So try to resist shaking your limbs, flexing your fingers, just let go. And after your next exhalation, just gently open the eyes. And when you come to the side, roll onto the right side if you can, and bring your right hand underneath your head as a pillow. Keep your left hand on the floor in front of your face, and then push onto the floor and come up and sit up. I'll chant the closing chant, the Shanti mantra. So come into a seated position. And bring the palms once again together, close the eyes. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Bow the head down. Release the hands. Raise the head, open the eyes. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next time. See you on the screen, and have a wonderful Sunday.